help me to do it myself. That is really the essence of Montessori education. I'm Carolina Montessori, one of Maria Montessori's great-granddaughters.
Imagine a young woman in Italy over a century ago, a time when society strictly limited women's roles and ambitions. Through fierce determination and courage, she pushed against the deeply embedded societal norms, creating new possibilities. Her dedication and hard work sparked ideas so powerful that they shattered long-held practices, forming a new kind of freedom, one that redefines education and unlocks the limitless potential within each child. Her journey holds remarkable stories: a hidden child, a bond with a renowned world leader in the quest for peace, and an unprecedented breakthrough as Italy's first female doctor. She dared to imagine that children, when nurtured with respect and freedom, could grow up to change the world. And she was right. Her influence stretches across generations, reaching today's schools, shaping famous leaders, and sparking creativity and freedom in every child who walks into a Montessori classroom. And even in her final resting place, her words call to the dear all-powerful children to join her in building peace and freedom in the world. Today's video is about Maria Montessori, the woman who challenged tradition, redefined education, and paved the way for children to bring peace and freedom to humanity. Chapter 2. Early Steps. Maria Montessori was born on August 31st, 1870, in Chiaravalle, Italy. Her father, Alessandro Montessori, was a government official employed in a local tobacco factory, and her mother, Renilda Stoppani, a compassionate and modern-minded woman, came from a well-educated and wealthy family with progressive ideas.
Her mother was an elementary school teacher, but of course stopped working when she married, and probably wanted her daughter to do all the things that she had not been able to do.
As an only child, Maria Montessori received strong support from her family, which played a crucial role in shaping her character. Her mother, Renilde, a progressive thinker, encouraged Maria to pursue her education and challenge the societal norms that limited opportunities for children. In contrast, her father, Alessandro, a traditional man, valued structure and discipline. While he sometimes struggled with Maria's curiosity and independence, he admired her dedication and accomplishments. Alessandro did not fully share Renilde's enthusiasm for challenging conventions. He provided a steady, supportive presence, offering guidance within more conventional boundaries. Together, they created a balanced environment that nurtured Maria's ambitions and resilience. During Maria's childhood, Italy held conservative views about women's roles, emphasizing obedience, politeness, and the mastery of domestic skills. Traits like etiquette and discipline were highly valued in young girls, and education for girls often focused on activities deemed appropriate for their future roles as homemakers, such as sewing, knitting, and other domestic tasks. Maria embraced the norms of her time, finding meaning in daily routines that built her sense of responsibility and self-discipline. Choosing tasks like scrubbing a portion of the tile floor each day, she developed an appreciation for practical, hands-on activities, values other children dismissed as chores. Her mother, Renilde, encouraged this mindset, inspiring Maria to perform acts of kindness like knitting for the poor and emphasizing the importance of helping those in need. Maria referred to these experiences as exercises of practical life that develop caring for others, foster independence, and bring a sense of responsibility. At age 6, Maria began elementary school. Although her academic performance was average, she earned certificates for good behavior and women's work, reflecting societal expectations for girls at the time. In 1883, at age 12, her family moved to Rome to give her access to better educational opportunities. There, Maria found the traditional school environment restrictive and uninspiring, yet she excelled in exams and engaged actively with her classmates. Her enthusiasm for learning set her apart, and upon completing elementary school, she asked her parents for permission to continue her education, a rare choice for women of her time. With her mother's support, Maria's quiet journey toward independent thinking began, a spirit that valued freedom over societal norms. Chapter 3. Against the Current. In 1883, at age 13, Maria challenged societal norms by entering an all-boys secondary technical school. She quickly showed a strong tendency towards mathematics and natural sciences, excelling particularly in biology and physics. She graduated in 1886 with impressive grades, setting herself apart in fields traditionally dominated by men. At 16, Maria pursued a full curriculum, focusing on subjects like Italian, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. Initially, she aspired to become an engineer, a rare ambition for a young woman at the time. Most girls traditionally pursued subjects like literature, Latin, and history. However, her growing passion for science and her experiences in biology gradually shifted her focus. She quickly graduated in 1890, at age 20, with a certificate in physics and mathematics, with her focus on studying medicine, an even more unconventional path. Despite her father's opposition and her family's hopes that she would become a teacher, Maria was determined to study medicine. Her initial application to the University of Rome's Faculty of Medicine was rejected, but she refused to give up. Appealing to influential professors, including Guido Baccelli, she argued her case with determination to continue her education at the university.
And he said, "You can't study medicine, women don't do that." And she said, "Well, I know that I shall be a doctor."
Her persistence paid off, and Maria was admitted to the University of Rome, Faculty of Science. To pay for her education, she received several scholarships and supplemented her income with private tutoring, working tirelessly to finance her studies. By 1892, she earned her diploma, and in 1893, she finally gained entry to medical school at the University of Rome. Maria became the first woman in Italy to study medicine. Her time as a medical student was challenging. She faced significant prejudice from male colleagues and professors. Isolated in her studies due to societal norms, she was required to perform dissections after hours, as it was considered inappropriate for a woman to study anatomy alongside men.
She was one of the first women in Italy to train as a doctor, and her training was incredibly rigorous. And you just imagine that in her day, when she did dissection, she couldn't do it with the men. She had to do it at night and on her own. So she was a very determined young woman.
During her studies, she gained clinical experience by securing a position as a hospital assistant, where she worked closely with impoverished patients, especially children, an experience that profoundly influenced her understanding of medicine and care. On July 10, 1896, Maria Montessori graduated and became Italy's first female doctor.
She was the first woman to finish her studies at the University of Rome, medical studies.
A remarkable achievement that gained her national recognition and respect. That same year, in September, Maria represented Italy at the International Congress for Women in Berlin, marking a significant step in her advocacy for equal opportunity in the professional world. A bold stance at a time when women's roles were often restricted.
She pleaded for equal pay for women, which was very extraordinary in those days. She was very eloquent, and that she could speak very convincingly.
When asked how her patients reacted to being treated by a female doctor, she responded, "They know intuitively when someone really cares about them." Her words challenged the stigma around women's societal role. This moment marked a subtle shift, hinting at a vision that would soon push the boundaries of traditional roles and expectations. Chapter 4. Strength and Sacrifice. In 1897, Maria began volunteering at the University of Rome's psychiatric clinic.
She was particularly interested in the psychiatric department.
Working closely with children facing cognitive and developmental challenges. Simultaneously, she served as a surgical assistant treating impoverished patients, including many children. Through these experiences, Maria developed a conviction that, with the right approach, even those labeled as incapable could achieve meaningful progress. Eager to deepen her knowledge, she delved into all major educational resources from the past 2 centuries and even translated foundational texts in special education into Italian.
She's believing very strongly that children have got the capability of teaching themselves. That's what makes it fundamentally different.
This dedication quickly earned her respect as a physician deeply committed to improving the lives of children. At the psychiatric clinic, Montessori collaborated closely with Dr. Giuseppe Montesano, jointly exploring therapeutic methods and studying ways to stimulate the minds of children with developmental challenges. During this collaboration, Montessori and Montesano developed a romantic relationship, which led to the birth of their son, Mario, on March 31, 1898. Montessori faced serious societal pressures. As an unwed mother in an era when having a child outside of marriage was considered highly inappropriate, if she chose to marry, she was expected to abandon her career, as women were largely confined to family roles over professional ambitions. Determined to continue her work, Montessori made a private agreement with Montesano to keep their relationship and Mario's existence a secret, on the condition that neither would marry anyone else. However, this arrangement fell apart when Montesano married another woman, breaking their pact. Feeling deeply betrayed, Montessori resigned from her position at the university hospital, a decision that also meant sending Mario to live with a wet nurse in the countryside.
Because she had to make the choice. It was her career or the child, because had she chosen to bring the child up, in the bourgeois society of Italy in those days, and Roman Catholic society, this would not have been possible. So she gave him up to be brought up in the country, and she went to visit him often.
This separation allowed her to maintain her professional life, but it came at a great emotional cost. The secrecy surrounding Mario's birth left Maria deeply isolated, carrying the burden almost entirely alone. Her father, Alessandro, remained unaware, while her mother, Renilda, may have suspected the truth but could offer little support under the weight of societal expectations. Visits to Mario were rare and conducted in secrecy, and their communication remained infrequent, creating a painful distance between them.
I think that fundamentally had influenced her view of the child, because the mixture of guilt and wishing to change children's life is certainly evident in her writing all the time.
Focused on her work with other children, Maria felt the painful irony of caring for many children while being separated from her own son. While the clinic brought fulfillment and purpose, yet it also served as a painful reminder of the distance from her own child during his formative years. Though she channeled this pain into her work, it deepened her empathy, fueling her desire to provide every child with a nurturing environment, something she couldn't give Mario. Her sacrifice, though filled with mixed emotions, shaped her commitment to a world where the needs of every child would be seen, valued, and understood. If you are enjoying this story about Maria Montessori, please share, like, and subscribe to my channel Ratio Freedom for more inspiring journeys. Let me know in the comments what freedom means to you. Chapter 5. New Horizons.
A child's natural state is to love learning. And if a child's not loving learning, there's not something wrong with the child, there's something wrong with the learning environment.
As Maria gained recognition for her work, she attended many medical events addressing how society can help children with mental and emotional challenges through specialized education and care. She began traveling, studying, speaking, and publishing extensively, even attending a women's congress in London, where she was received by Queen Victoria. One pivotal example of neglect that deeply impacted Montessori involved a visit to an asylum, where she observed children eagerly gathering crumbs from the floor after meals.
She found that there were children, they were there locked up in a big ward. The nurse said, "Oh God, they eat the crumbs from the floor, they have no manners." And Maria Montessori said, "No, they have nothing to do. They need sensory stimulation."
The seemingly small act struck Montessori profoundly, revealing their intense deprivation, not just of food, but of meaningful sensory engagement. She realized that their environment offered no stimulation or activities to support their development, which was worsening their condition. This insight drove her to shift from theory to practice, determined to create educational methods and tools that would offer these children the stimulation and engagement they needed to thrive.
Things like decluttering the environment and making everything accessible to the students so they could be independent and practice their executive functioning skills. Things like checklists to allow students to self-monitor and self-pace and self-reflect. Things like record-keeping charts so I could try to individualize instruction for my students, not just differentiate, but individualize.
In the early 1900s, Rome was undergoing rapid expansion, with many construction projects left incomplete. In the San Lorenzo district, some of these abandoned sites became makeshift homes for working-class families, whose children were often left unsupervised as parents worked long hours. These children, among the poorest in Rome, spent their days roaming freely, which led to frequent disruptions and damage to the properties. This led to the building developers approaching Montessori for a solution to keep the children occupied.
She saw how children suffered in the traditional kind of schools. At that time, children were seen as small adults, so they had to behave as adults, and of course they weren't.
Seeing an opportunity to apply her educational theories, she opened the first Montessori school on January 6, 1907, in the heart of the district. Serving around 50 to 60 children from impoverished backgrounds, the classroom provided a nurturing space where children could learn and explore. Montessori equipped the classroom with various child-sized furnitures, a teacher's table, a blackboard, and a locked cabinet containing educational materials she had developed during her time at the orthophrenic school. Although she supervised the classroom activities, Montessori did not teach directly, allowing the children to learn through hands-on engagement. Montessori sensed the transformative potential of the Montessori school, saying at its opening, "I have a strange feeling which made me announce emphatically that here was the opening of an undertaking of which the whole world would one day speak."
She made a very famous speech in which she kind of declared that she was hoping that these children will be the future of human beings.
Her methods introduced children to a new kind of freedom to explore, to make choices, and to grow at their own pace. Through hands-on learning, independence, and respect for each child's natural development, Montessori unlocked remarkable progress. Children once considered unruly began to thrive.
These children performed sometimes better than the children who had regular, traditional education.
And by the end of 1907, some 5-year-olds were already reading and writing. This astonishing advancement captivated visitors and drew widespread attention to the power of her revolutionary approach. Chapter 6: Unlocking Potential. The success of the first Montessori school led to more centers opening, 4 in Rome and 1 in Milan by 1908, leading to more success.
In a Montessori community, the children learn that every member of that community is equally valuable, that everybody brings something that nobody else has, that my gift is different than yours. Our job is to remove all the obstacles so that the gift can shine.
Montessori's methods drew attention from educators and observers across Italy, who were impressed by the flourishing children in these centers. Her approach even gained recognition beyond Italy, reaching Italian-speaking regions of Switzerland, where kindergartens began adopting Montessori's methods. Through constant observation and refinement, Montessori's educational philosophy spread rapidly. In 1909, Maria Montessori held her first teacher training course in Italy, drawing about 100 students eager to learn her methods.
This is about the students, but it is also about the teachers. In my Montessori teacher credential program, I was given the tools and training I need to be able to individualize education for my students, and training in how to allow the students to self-monitor and self-pace and self-reflect so they own their own education.
During this time, she wrote The Montessori Method, her foundational book outlining a philosophy focused on child-centered, hands-on learning that encouraged free thinking and self-discovery. Her book gained international acclaim, being translated into more than 20 languages. It also sold all its initial 5,000 copies in the United States, becoming a bestseller in America, reaching second place on the non-fiction list. This success cemented the Montessori method as a revolutionary approach, gaining global following and reshaping education. The first Montessori school in North America opened in October of 1911 in Tarrytown, New York, sparking a wave of interest. Influential figures like Alexander Graham Bell and his wife Mabel championed her approach by opening a Montessori school in their Canadian home, and even President Woodrow Wilson's daughter, Margaret Woodrow Wilson, became an advocate. By the end of 1911, Montessori education was officially adopted in public schools in Italy and Switzerland, with expansion plans underway for the UK. By 1912, Montessori schools had opened in Paris and several major cities across Western Europe, with additional schools planned for countries like Argentina, Australia, China, Syria, the US, and New Zealand. In 1913, the American Montessori Committee sponsored the first international Montessori training course in Rome, attracting numerous American educators. Montessori's book, The Montessori Method, gained widespread acclaim, supported by influential articles in McClure's magazine, which helped spark a Montessori movement in the U.S. By the end of that year, over 100 Montessori schools had opened across the country. Chapter 7: The Awakening. In 1912, Maria Montessori experienced a profound personal loss with the death of her mother, Renilde, at age 72. Renilde had always been a source of encouragement and inspiration, especially in Montessori's work with children. With her mother no longer there to help manage family affairs, Montessori took the opportunity to reunite with her son, Mario, after years of separation during which he had been raised by a foster family in the countryside.
It was only when he was 15 that she told him she was his mother. And then they started to work together and collaborate, promoting the Montessori approach.
This reunion allowed her to openly acknowledge Mario as her son, bringing both emotional relief and healing after the years apart. Having Mario close again was transformative for Montessori, who now found both personal fulfillment and essential support as he began assisting her in her educational work. The renewed bond soon grew into a productive partnership, with Mario becoming a vital collaborator in advancing the Montessori method worldwide. Despite the hardships she faced that year, Montessori's philosophy continued to gain international momentum. In December 1913, Montessori traveled alone to the United States for a 3-week lecture tour, presenting films of her classrooms and captivating her American audience. After this tour, Mario became her constant companion, joining her on global travels to expand the Montessori method. Together, they embarked on travels to numerous countries, with Mario providing essential support and gradually taking on more responsibility managing Montessori's growing network of schools and training centers. Their partnership strengthened both personally and professionally, marking a new chapter in Montessori's mission to reshape early childhood education worldwide. In 1915, Maria Montessori returned to the United States, sponsored by the National Education Association, to showcase her work in San Francisco. She conducted her third international training course alongside Mario, setting up a glass-walled classroom, allowing thousands of observers to watch 21 students experience her methods firsthand.
Montessori was very interested on the children's levels of engagement in the activities, because she believed that concentration was the key to their learning, and so the environment needed to be prepared in such a way so as to foster concentration in the children.
Several months into her trip, her father passed away and required her to return to Italy. Following her departure, the Montessori movement faced criticism from influential education scholars like William Hurd Kilpatrick and John Dewey, who argued that her method was overly rigid, leading to a decline in its popularity across the United States. Chapter 8: Unseen Sacrifice. Throughout World War I, Maria shifted commitment to peace through education. Witnessing the devastation across Europe, she saw children as the foundation for a peaceful future, believing that teaching empathy, cooperation, and understanding could prevent future conflicts. Her method evolved to nurture children as peacemakers, aligning education with the urgent need for unity and compassion in a divided world.
What she really saw is that inherent within each child is a potential to change the world, and that really can only happen if children are given the best environments and treated with great respect. That is really the essence of the Montessori method.
In 1916, Maria and Mario relocated to Barcelona, Spain, where they continued refining their educational methods and training new teachers. As Maria's reputation grew, she faced pressure around 1920 from the Catalan independence movement to endorse their cause. Yet Montessori chose to remain focused on education, avoiding political involvement. Her refusal to take a stance led to the withdrawal of official support, and by 1924, a newly established military dictatorship closed her model school, resulting in a setback for Montessori education in Spain. Meanwhile, in Italy, Montessori's relationship with the government became increasingly strained. In 1927, Mussolini initially supported the establishment of a Montessori teacher training college, and by 1929, several Montessori institutions received government backing. However, conflicts began in 1930 over issues of financial support and Montessori's emphasis on peace through education, a view that clashed with the fascist regime.
She was doing her practice through 2 world wars, and Mussolini was just not into free thinking, independence, creativity, harmony, peace. I think it pushed a lot of buttons.
This idea that she had in her head that children needed to be citizens of the world was something Mussolini was not going to have. He absolutely couldn't stand the idea.
Her anti-fascist stance reinforced in her Education for Peace lectures, which further deepened the divide. By 1932, Maria and Mario were placed under political surveillance, signaling growing tensions, leading to her resignation from Italy. This led to more disagreements and effectively pushed her into exile by 1936. In Germany, the Nazi regime systematically dismantled and closed all Montessori schools. With lots of avenues closed, she continued her work in Barcelona under the new Spanish Republic. However, their support for her was short-lived, and with the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War in 1936, forcing her to leave Spain. Despite these challenges, Montessori's influence spread widely. Between 1913 and 1936, Montessori schools and societies were established across France, Switzerland, India, and the Netherlands, even drawing the attention of Mahatma Gandhi, who visited her schools in Rome. In 1935, the AMI, or the Association Montessori International headquarters, moved permanently to Amsterdam, establishing the Netherlands as a vital center for Maria Montessori's work. With over 200 schools adopting her approach, the Netherlands provided the Montessoris a stable and supportive environment to continue their work. Here, Maria and Mario focused on developing new educational materials, such as knobless cylinders, grammar symbols, and botany nomenclature cards, all crafted to enrich the hands-on learning essential to the Montessori method.
The Montessori approach is based on providing a prepared environment for children, so made to measure, where they can learn by themselves with very little guidance from the teachers.
Chapter 9, Beyond Expectations. As the threat of World War II approached, Montessori's mission to use education as a foundation for peace became ever more prominent. Viewing the rising violence as a stark consequence of neglected compassion and unity, she centered her work on what she called a science of peace, believing that instilling these values in children was crucial for a harmonious future. At the 6th International Montessori Congress in Copenhagen in 1937, Montessori dedicated the conference to this very theme, advocating that education must cultivate understanding and cooperation to counter conflict.
These children were capable of great discipline, order, care for one another, care for themselves, and also were very eager to learn. So she really saw a new kind of child.
Her work in the Netherlands continued until 1939, when she accepted an invitation from the Theosophical Society to conduct a training course in India to combat illiteracy. Maria and Mario's 3-week visit to India aimed to establish her methods and build on its promise of peace. However, their stay extended far beyond their original plans due to the outbreak of World War II. With Europe embroiled in conflict, Maria and Mario ended up remaining in India for nearly 7 years, from 1939 to 1946. In 1940, when Italy entered the war on the side of the Axis powers, Montessori and Mario, as Italian citizens, were placed under house arrest by British authorities in India. Despite these restrictions, Montessori continued her work with the support of the Theosophical Society and many Indian educators, conducting training sessions and establishing a strong base in the region. Her ideas on child-centered education resonated with many educators and families, which led to her development of the cosmic education concept, focusing on giving children a sense of the interconnectedness to the universe and their role within it. Their work in India left a lasting impact on the country's educational system and the global Montessori movement. Chapter 10, Realizing Vision. By the end of World War II in 1946, Montessori and Mario were finally able to leave India and return to Europe. They decided to settle back in the Netherlands, home to the Montessori International Association, which gave them a stable base for their work in the post-war era. With Europe in the process of rebuilding, Maria focused on restoring Montessori education in areas where it had been suppressed, particularly in Italy, where many schools had been closed under the fascist rule. Her message of peace through education found renewed resonance as Europe looked toward a more harmonious future. During this period, Mario took on a vital leadership role within the AMI, working alongside his mother to expand Montessori training courses across Europe. His organization skills complemented Maria's vision, ensuring that Montessori principles were preserved and adapted for a changing world. Alongside these responsibilities, Mario also began a family, skillfully balancing his personal life with a commitment to advancing his mother's legacy. Maria Montessori remained dedicated to her vision of child-centered education well into her later years, continuing to lecture and advocate for her philosophy. In one of her final public engagements, she delivered a powerful speech for UNESCO in Florence, where she spoke of education's essential role in building global peace. Montessori's impact was widely recognized.
She received many honors and awards, but of course the most honorable thing is that she was nominated 3 times for the Nobel Peace Prize.
And received the French Legion of Honor in 1949, one of France's highest civilian awards, a testament to the profound influence of her work across Europe and beyond. She passed away on May 6, 1952, in Noordwijk aan Zee, the Netherlands, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire children until today. Chapter 11, Legacy of Freedom. Maria Montessori introduced freedom in its purest form to education, the freedom to explore, make mistakes, and grow. She believed that by recognizing each child as an individual and allowing them to work at their own pace,
the future is unknown. What we need to do is to prepare our children to be able to face the unpredictable, which is what the future is. So the purpose of education is much broader. It's to help people to become full human beings and members of the human community.
Her method transformed classrooms into spaces where individuality was celebrated, fostering a generation of independent thinkers and lifelong learners. By the time of her passing, she had established over 4,000 Montessori classrooms worldwide, leaving a legacy that continues to shape education with over 20,000 Montessori schools in operation today. Montessori's dedication to peace was woven into her educational philosophy. Inspired by the turmoil of both world wars, she believed that nurturing respect, empathy, and understanding in children was foundational for global harmony. Her concept of education for peace emphasized that teaching children to be independent, responsible, and compassionate could help prevent future conflicts. She saw children as natural peacemakers, capable of contributing to a more peaceful society if nurtured in the right way.
The whole idea of social justice and human rights, it's ingrained in her method. It's respect for each other, respect for nature, respect for the universe, for our world. It's all in there.
At its core, Montessori's philosophy of peace is inseparable from her vision of freedom. She understood that true freedom was not just about allowing children to choose their activities, but about cultivating their ability to think independently, make choices responsibly, and respect the rights and freedoms of others. The Montessori method aimed to plant seeds of freedom and peace, nurturing a generation capable of creating a more just and harmonious society.
Mancavo dall'Italia fino dal 34, l'anno in cui hanno chiuso tutte le scuole col mio metodo. Rimasi in Europa fino al 39, poi dopo sono andata in India e lì sono rimasta per 7 anni, dei quali per 5 anni fui internata come nemico italiano. Io non potevo andare nei vari luoghi, ma venivano da tutte le parti gli indiani a me. E in questo modo ho potuto preparare circa 1500 maestri.
Quanto tempo rimarrai in Italia?
Io sono qui ospite del governo italiano per 2 mesi. Credo che sia per rimettere il mio metodo nelle scuole e anche per applicare alla nuova educazione i miei principi. Adesso io andrò per qualche mese in India e dopo, se Dio vuole, tornerò in Europa.
Se i bambini sapessero chi è la Montessori, questo omaggio diventerebbe plebiscito. Il suo è un metodo di liberazione morale e mentale dell'infanzia. Alle piccole ali che si aprono, questa donna infonde il coraggio e la responsabilità di tentare il volo.
Thank you for staying with us until the end. Maria Montessori's life was a testament to the transformative power of freedom, not just in education, but in breaking the barriers of societal norms. If her story inspired you, click on my channel to explore more videos about those who have dedicated their lives to freedom, such as BKS Iyengar, the yoga master from India,